The Misstep of Minister Shamfa Cudjoe, a closer look at Trinidad and Tobago's athletic funding claims. An editorial by Professor Wall Street. When Trinidad and Tobago's Minister of Sport, Shamfa Cudjoe, recently declared that the country provides the largest amount of financial support to athletes among Caribbean nations, the statement raised more than a few eyebrows. While patriotism and national pride are commendable, it's crucial for public officials to ground their claims in reality, especially when discussing something as critical as sports funding, which directly impacts the livelihoods and careers of our athletes. Here are 10 reasons why Minister Cudjoe's statement is problematic and why it fails to reflect the true state of athletic support in Trinidad and Tobago. 1. Lack of transparency in funding allocation. Despite claims of substantial financial support, there has been little transparency in how these funds are allocated. Athletes and sporting organizations frequently complain about delays and inconsistencies in receiving funding, which raises questions about whether the supposed largest support is reaching those who need it most. 2. Inconsistent support across sports. While some sports might receive adequate funding, others are left struggling. Athletes in disciplines such as swimming, track and field, and boxing have often reported insufficient financial backing, leaving them to rely on personal resources or seek sponsorships abroad. 3. Regional comparisons. When comparing Trinidad and Tobago's support to that of other Caribbean nations, it's clear that countries like Jamaica have established robust funding systems and sponsorship deals, particularly in track and field. Jamaica's athletes enjoy significant financial and infrastructural support, making them regional leaders in sports funding and success. 4. Delayed disbursement of funds. Many Trinidad and Tobago athletes have faced delays in receiving their stipends or grants, disrupting their training and competition schedules. These delays contradict the claim of being the top supporter of athletes in the region. 5. Insufficient infrastructure investment. Financial support isn't just about direct funding to athletes. It also includes investment in sports infrastructure. Compared to other Caribbean nations, Trinidad and Tobago's sports facilities are often outdated or inadequately maintained, hindering athletes' preparation and performance. 6. Lack of support for emerging athletes. While established athletes might receive some level of funding, emerging talents often struggle to get financial support to develop their potential. This lack of investment in the future generation of athletes contradicts any claim of leading the region in support. 7. Dependence on external funding. Many of Trinidad and Tobago's athletes have had to secure their own funding through overseas sponsors or personal investments to cover training and competition costs. This reality starkly contrasts with the notion that the country is providing the highest level of support in the Caribbean. 8. Limited access to sponsorship and endorsements. In comparison to countries like the Bahamas, where athletes benefit from strong corporate sponsorship and government partnerships, Trinidad and Tobago athletes often struggle to attract similar opportunities, limiting their financial support beyond government allocations. 9. Athlete testimonials and public outcry. Numerous athletes have spoken out publicly about the inadequate support they receive from the Ministry of Sport. Their testimonials paint a picture of frustration and neglect, suggesting that the reality of sports funding is far from what the minister claims. 10. Global comparison and impact. On the global stage, Trinidad and Tobago's athletes are competing against well-funded opponents from countries that prioritize sports development. The lack of competitive financial backing places our athletes at a disadvantage, which is not reflective of being the top supporter in the Caribbean. In conclusion, while Minister Cudjoe's statement may have been intended to boost national pride. It does not align with the experiences of many athletes and the observable reality of sports funding in Trinidad and Tobago. Instead of making inflated claims, the focus should be on addressing the gaps in support, improving transparency, and ensuring that all athletes receive the backing they need to succeed. Only then can Trinidad and Tobago genuinely claim to be a leader in athletic support in the Caribbean.